Good morning. This is Keloland on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
A Pier man plans to plead guilty after beating and killing one man and seriously injuring a woman on the Rosebud reservation last July. Court documents say Eric Rosebud Jr. admits to randomly attacking a man named Harold Menard.
He beat the man, then kicked him in the head several times while he was on the ground. It resulted in Menard's death at the hospital. It happened when Rosebud, in the heat of an argument with his mother, seriously beat her with a garden hoe and kicked her.
He faces a maximum of 15 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter and 10 years for assault with a dangerous weapon. A change of plea hearing and subsequent sentencing date have not yet been set.
A man charged with the 2024 murder of Moody County Deputy Ken Prorock was back in court Thursday afternoon.
The judge granted Joseph Hook a third defense attorney. A mitigation specialist will also be allowed to do research on his case.
Hook has already pled not guilty, but if he is found guilty, he could face the death penalty.
In this case, the state has alleged two factors. One is Officer Ken Prorock was in his official duties during his death, and the second was it occurred at a time that defendant Hook was fleeing from law enforcement.
The prosecution says they are ready for the set October trial date.
South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley says there will be more discussion of the jury questionnaire and selection process at an upcoming motions hearing.
A Nebraska man who is wanted in both Nebraska and South Dakota is now in custody and faces charges in both states as well as in federal court.
Authorities say Cody Dittman eluded law enforcement in a several-day manhunt that ended on Wednesday. His charges range from felony domestic assault to assault against a law enforcement officer, and he's currently being held in the Pennington County Jail.
You can read more about the case in a Keloland.com original by Jacob Newton.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. As we look at our weather forecast, the big story, hotter weather coming our direction. Highs today, 88 in Sioux Falls, 88 in Mitchell, 82 in Aberdeen. Just slightly cooler with a north wind this afternoon there at 10 to 20. Also, if you're watching us in the Black Hills, there will be a couple of showers and thunderstorms possible around Hill City and Custer this afternoon. Highs there in the low 70s. That's a quick look at weather. We will detail the weekend forecast for Mother's Day and beyond coming up.
Thank you, Brian. Marsh McClennon Agency is making a $1 million gift to Sanford Children's Hospital.
It's a 10-year commitment from the insurance consulting and brokerage firm that will address the growing need for pediatric behavioral health care in the region.
The money will allow the hospital to add full-time therapists and social workers, enhance internship and training programs, and upgrade facilities.
These are really the things that keep our level of excellence here at the Sanford Children's Hospital to the highest. Everyone that comes in that has their child, if you're sick, you want the very best equipment. You want your providers to be very knowledgeable about what they're doing. And I think this type of gift just elevates that level of care.
The gift will also allow Sanford Children's Hospital to introduce assessment and follow-up services for patients.
You can learn why Marsh McClennon Agency is making this seven-figure gift with this story on Keloland.com.
Feeding South Dakota and the National Association of Letter Carriers are gearing up for their Stamp Out Hunger food drive.
Tomorrow, people will go around and pick up bags that people put outside filled with non-perishable items. Organizers say that it's better to put the bags out early in the morning.
We have a lot of volunteers, so you're going to see a lot of people that aren't in uniform. They're just friends and family or carriers that are off the clock. Also, people in non-postal vehicles. Don't be alarmed. They're not stealing the food. They're just our volunteers helping us out.
You can tell if you're in a participating area if you receive a bag or postcard in the mail.
WIC says they hope to collect over 60,000 pounds of food tomorrow.
A longtime breakfast and lunch favorite in Sioux Falls is closing its doors. Rosie's Cafe on Madison Street has been around for more than 4 decades.
Today, the mother and daughter who have owned the restaurant will close the doors for the final time. Rosie's became known for its home-cooked meals and customer service.
Probably the escape, that's what we call it here, from the fast pace of things.
Customers are invited to a special gathering for Rosie's retirement from 11 to 2 today. Burgers and hot dogs will be served.
That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get another Check Your Weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather forecast as we head into Mother's Day weekend. Well, the accumulation of all this hotter, dry weather is going to lead to a fire weather watch on Sunday. The bottom line on this headline, first of all, it covers most of the real estate east of the Missouri River Valley, and for the most part, it applies to the areas like sloughs and just spots in general that have plenty of dormant grasses or some of that older vegetation that's still hanging out there as we're beginning to green up here in the month of May. So it's a highly variable scenario, just depends on what's local to your spot. But also remember with that south wind too, there's blowing dust possible on Sunday with that south wind over 40, highs either side of 90 degrees by a couple of degrees there. So that's of interest too. Speaking of the wind, here's the forecast for Sunday. That's Mother's Day afternoon at 20 to 40 sustained and gusts near 40 to 45 here on Pierre area. Looks very similar on Monday, maybe not quite as windy, but still a south wind going on. And of course, it's still hot. It's going to be in the upper 80s and low 90s. Tuesday, same thing again here. We've got south winds and temperatures upper 80s to low 90s. And one more day of that on Wednesday, East River. Then the change occurs, and there could be some thunderstorms with a shot at northwest winds coming in on Thursday. And I do expect that that will start to change up the weather pattern a little bit. In fact, let's talk about that for a moment as we dial in on the next weather map. And this is showing us, first of all, the big ridge that's been anchored and kind of keeping us dry and quiet the last several days. So we still have a ways to go on that pattern. We're not going to break it just yet. High pressure center here going into the weekend is still very much in control of the weather. Upper level low is spinning across the deep south, and that's shutting off the Gulf moisture for now. Now, our questions basically revolve around how fast does this pattern break down? It's still looking like the target day would be Wednesday, as finally this begins to lose its grip. Here comes the upper trough. There's some of the rain and snow in the Rockies. And because the Gulf is cut off for so long, we're only going to get so much moisture to head north here as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. But there is some, and so it is definitely looking like we need to include some rain chances. I fully support that. I think that the modeling is handling that pretty well. And of course, that system is going to go through and be at least a shot at some rain. Now, after that, as we get into next weekend, okay, that's looking out there a little ways, but there's more and more evidence that there will be another system that'll follow suit. I could easily see that one being a little bit more plentiful on moisture if it tracks in our direction. That's a big if too. We've had a lot of these coming out of the Rockies. When they do, so far, you know, there's been mixed results when it comes to moisture in South Dakota. So some have been getting some rains. Obviously, after this forecast, everybody's going to need a shot at some rain on the topsoil, and many of us need some subsoil moisture. So just remember that where we're lagging on our moisture. We're at 88 today, Sioux Falls, and every day like that pulls more moisture out of the ground too. And it's going to continue right through Wednesday. So that's easy to remember. Lows at night, mainly in the low 60s. Aberdeen, very similar to Sioux Falls, probably a degree or two either side of 90, at least through Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And then that chance of rain begins to break down that pattern there by Wednesday and Thursday. Pierre also will see that change in the weather. Right now we've got highs in the mid-70s on Thursday. It may end up being a little bit cooler than that on the backside of that low, so let's see if that changes. I think Rapid City probably gets the most dramatic effect. We go from 90s to 60s as that system rolls through the Black Hills, and it still looks promising. There will be some rain in western South Dakota. More coverage online at KELOLAND.com.